As we mark 5 years since the murder of George Floyd, the U.S. Justice Department is moving to dismiss the federal consent decree mandating sweeping reforms at the Minneapolis Police Department.
But MPD is still under a state decree from the Minnesota Department of Human Rights seeking many of the same reforms. And there is an independent monitor that's been hired to report on the department's progress. In Talking Points, Esme Murphy talks with the lead investigator of the independent monitor.
The Independent Monitor is a nonprofit named Effective Law Enforcement for All, or ALEFA. ALEFA reports to the State Department of Human Rights, and its lead investigator is Michael Harrison, the former police chief of Baltimore and New Orleans.
I am very happy to be able to continue to help police departments.
The report issued this week says the city and MPD have made more progress towards building a foundation for sustainable reform in the first year of monitoring than nearly any other jurisdiction.
The city and the police department have put in a lot of work to bring policies that weren't here to bear, to improve previous policies that existed.
But there are also criticisms. The report cites a serious issue with classroom behavior of some MPD personnel. Chief Harrison says the objections to new training are to be expected.
It's new. People have questions. And, sometimes people reject change because they fear the unknown.
The report also cites slow progress with new field officer training. Officer Derek Chauvin was a field training officer and was training 2 rookie officers when George Floyd was killed. Still, this veteran law enforcement officer believes MPD is making significant strides.
I have seen policing go from bad to really good. And so there is hope, and I am hopeful, and ALEFA is committed to being here until we see it happen.
Esme Murphy joining us now. Does Chief Harrison think the feds pulling out will affect his investigation?
He does not. He thinks it's business as usual for ALEFA, the independent team. However, what it does mean is that ALEFA's evaluation, we got one this week, is more important because it will be standing virtually alone in terms of evaluating how the Minneapolis Police Department is progressing.
And let's talk more about this ALEFA group. Tell us who hired them, how much they're getting paid, and who they report to.
Right. Well, they're a nonprofit. They were hired by the city of Minneapolis. They are getting paid $1.5 million a year for over 4 years, each year. And they are writing up several reports every year, again, for 4 years. ALEFA reports to the State Department of Human Rights and the city. And with the federal government out, again, they are the ones that people will be looking at to see what their evaluation says about how the Minneapolis Police Department is changing.
You had mentioned that the report was saying there were serious problems with classroom behavior by MPD personnel. What exactly is the context for that?
Well, what is happening right now, and what's been happening really since George Floyd was killed, is that there's been new training at the Minneapolis Police Department enormously in all kinds of areas, including use of force, critical incidents. And what the report that came out this past week cited was that some of the veteran officers were pushing back in the classroom, but that it was going much better for the younger officers. Overall, you heard the chief say, people are resistant to change. Something new comes along and that's it. But they did note that.
Yeah, fearing the unknown. Anything else surprising in the report that you found?
The one thing I thought was really surprising was the emphasis on the wellness of the police officers. They said that has to be a priority, from access to meditation, therapy, peer counseling. The report stresses how important mental health is for police officers and how important it is for the department to really emphasize this and give officers access to help. And when you think about it, it makes so much sense.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Good that they're taking that seriously.
Yeah, particularly for them. All right. Thank you, Esme.